About the election?
I think the election's really important because it's going to decide the way the country will be, and it's going to decide our futures, because the next time it comes around to voting it's going to be us, it's going to be our generation, and I think that it's really dependent on everything that's going to happen because it's us and we're going to be the people who vote next time round.
So that's an interesting point. So how old are you at the moment?
I'm 14.
So next election
Yeah.
you'll be 19?
I have been.
What did you think?
I wouldn't say it's much of an issue as to certain things that go behind closed doors. I'd say that David Cameron and Clere would do some sort of things like that maybe, but I don't think it's much of a big deal, but it does affect his sort of position in Parliament at the moment.
Do you think the media are sort of picking on him because they think he's a bit of what you call a lame duck?
Slightly, yeah.
Okay. Initially, if I said Lib Dems, you might have been a bit vague, but I say Nick Clere, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I kind of follow more of the people than the actual Parliament, because I'm not really into that sort of politics much, but I think obviously who's Prime Minister does count, and I think that with Nick Clegg, I think the fact that he's trying to send us to school at, like, on a Saturday and things, I don't think that's right, because I think we can't cope at the moment with how much school we have at the moment, and I don't think he quite understands that.
It's interesting you should say that, because when I was in reception so far...
I think probably Nick Clegg, because it's kind of weird why I like him, but he said about the nuclear weapon that we have and that he wants to get rid of it, and loads of people are saying that it's bad because people will invade, but it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of good because it makes us seem more peaceful and like happy and stuff, so I like him.
So why do you think it is? The Lib Dems have always been a distant third in a race.
Yeah.
You imagine it like three people running in a race,
yeah.
And suddenly he's right up there. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the debates, and it's like not many people really knew about him that much, and then after the debates, once they've heard what he said, and he was quite open about things and stuff, and I think that's made people change their views quite a lot.
It was his own fault, I think, and he should think about what he says before, and the fact that he said it when he thought he didn't have his mic on, I think it's his own fault.
So do you think that's good enough grounds for people not to vote for him?
Not really. I think it's more so about the policies and what they stand for than the actual people, the actual personality of the politician.
I've heard about Lib Dem, Tories. Do you hear about, or you know about any of the other parties?
Well, I don't really know much about the policies. I mean, I've heard of them, like there's Green Party and there's UKIP and parties like that, but I just don't, because they're not the main three, we don't really know much about it and prefer not to look at it, because we know, like, obviously where we support other ones, we know where we don't feel like looking at it, to be honest.
And when in Australia, it's compulsory to vote. You have to turn up to the polling station, say for next May the 6th, and even if you put none of the above, you have to put that. Otherwise, it's a £60 fine. What do you think of that system?
I think that's quite important, because otherwise, like as before someone said, that every vote counts. One vote can change the entire country.
We've got 10 senior schools in Thurrock, and they all seem to be doing exceedingly well, including your school, which is a fantastic Ofsted report. Is that down to the government?
I don't think it's down to the government at all, because I think they try and say that they're going to do things to change for us and make our futures better, but really we don't see much of a change happening, because there could be a lot of better things that they can be doing for us, but they don't really emphasise on education.
I think the main thing that at the moment is the fact that you watch the general election and all they seem to be doing is advertising themselves and going out to the public and trying to raise their votes. But then I think that when someone does get elected, all that's going to stop. Because at the moment they're going out and, I don't know, going to shopping centres and visiting hospitals and stuff and really putting themselves out in the public. But then once they're elected, they're Prime Minister, they'll sit back in their offices and they're not going to do a lot to help anymore.
I guess one question I can ask is, there's two MPs in Thurrock, isn't there?
Yeah.
You name them.
No. Is one of them Angela something?
Angela Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
What about any of the candidates this time?
I'm not too sure on the the elections more locally. I mean, more of it's what you see on television, and that's obviously the Parliament in London.
Not only the national elections, but the local elections, the local councils. So what do you expect from your local councilman?
I think the main thing that I stand for is the fact that when the Parliament in London puts down like rules for us, I don't know, say the crossing for the Thames is going to run straight through land here, I think the council should stand up more against that, because if the people in the local area are very against it, they should have more of a voice through us to the government about that.
So I guess one of the areas you're going into is building on the green belt.
Yeah.
There's lovely green fields, but hey, people might say, well, that could be jobs. We could get jobs and houses, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes down to a vote really, because obviously you have to weigh out the positives and negatives of what's going to happen, but then if there are more people voting against the plans that they have, then I think the council should have more say in what goes on, and they should be the ones to put that across from us.
May the 6th, and you are over 18, which party would you vote for?
I'll probably vote for Conservative, because in the local area, I mean, I've seen the Conservatives at the Palmer's College, and also on the television and in the newspapers. It seems that Conservatives have got the most ideas and the most change. Although Lib Dem are quite similar to Conservatives, they're doing things which maybe the public don't like, and I think also it's time for a change, and not Labour as well, so probably Conservative.
I wouldn't be too sure, to be honest. I guess I'd have to have a closer look at the policies and that, but at the moment, general look, I'd say Labour.
To be honest, I think same. I haven't really looked into it, so I wouldn't really know at the moment, because I don't know enough about each of them to predict or decide what one.
That was a politician's answer. Very good. Yep.
Definitely Lib Dem, because I think it's time for a new change, and it's always been about Labour and Conservative, and now Lib Dem have risen quite a lot, and I think it's time for a change. They've never really been the main people, and everyone expects all the other people to like be the main ones, and if there's a change, then we get to see what he's offered, and like if we like it or not, and if not, then we can change for something else.
I think I would vote for Conservatives, because I agree with their policies more so than I do with any other party.
You don't get a choice.
I would definitely say Labour, because I still agree with all of their policies, and they've done a good job during my lifetime.
I don't know much about the general election, but by the sounds of what I've heard so far, I'd go for Lib Dem.
I think I'd sway more towards the Liberal Democrats, because mainly on their strain on education, but also because I think our country thrives on change, and the more we have, obviously Labour's been in power for a long time, and the more change we have, the more we get to experience other situations and the way the country's run.
I think I definitely agree and go for the Lib Dems, because I think we need a change from Labour and Conservative.